I had a question that came up this week, very difficult, um, endless discussion kind of question. So this person who wrote to me is a strong believer in the concept of collaboration, and that not only that he was saying competition is wrong, but he's saying that competence is wrong, that the idea of rewarding people for competence is wrong. We should only reward people for collaboration. And I replied that this is the socialist mindset, and I don't think it's effective. And he replies to me, no, I'm not talking about socialism. I'm talking about animals. And so he said, animals collaborate. They don't get rewarded for competence. They get rewarded for collaboration. So I said that his information about animals has been filtered by people with socialist ideology, and therefore he's only getting the studies that fit the collectivist mindset and getting no information or negative information on anything about how animals get rewarded for competence. And they don't eat if they're not competent. And so every time I reply to this person, they reply double. And because I'm getting arthritis in my fingers, I don't want to have an endless keyboard interaction. So I thought I would just reply to that question here. So although it sounds nice and wonderful and beautiful to say that everyone should collaborate and no one should be rewarded for competence, everyone can think of groups that they've been in where some people did not do a contribution to the work of the group and others did. And maybe you were the person who did not contribute. The word in English is coasting. If that you thought, well, if I do nothing, the other people will do all the work, so why should I? And you can find ways to justify that in your mind. And as long as you keep getting rewards for coasting, then that's what you keep doing. And I saw this many years as a college professor. So in my 25 years of teaching, I saw how education was taken over by the idea that group work is what we should do, that students should not have to do individual work. They should only have to do group work. And this will basically covers up. So if a child does not learn how to read or to do math, that this gives them a way to coast. And then it says, well, they're really making a contribution just by sitting there and being nurturing and empathetic. They're really contributing just as much. But what happens when that child goes out into the world and can't read and can't do math and can't even cut a recipe in half? Then they feel like they have been mistreated, that the world is unfair because their education gave them the illusion that all you have to do is sit there and smile and you get an equal share of the benefits, and no one is allowed to be frustrated about that. Now, how do you feel if you're the person in that group that wants to do the extra work, that is expected to do the work? You're feeling like, if I don't do all the work, then we're going to get a bad grade. Or if I go and complain to the teacher, then I'm going to be accused of being a bad person. So these are all very frustrating, very unfortunate choices. And this is what today's education system is training people for. Now, the reason I think I should say something about, because I never talk about this and it's really important. So when you have a child who gets to second grade, third grade, and still cannot do basic skills in school, then what often happens is they start coasting, and they keep coasting because the work gets harder and harder, and they have fear, they give up, they don't get any work that's at their own level. So what are they going to do? So then, no matter how many years of education they have, coasting is their only strategy. So this is the problem. The problem is not to cover it up with group work, but to get that kid's skills by going back to the level they're at. And this is easy to do. We already have software tools that do this, but it's very slow work and it's very individual. You can't just put the kid, it's called mainstreaming in English, where the kid must always be with their age peers rather than at the level that they're actually having the skills to have competence, to have mastery. Now, why do kids get in this situation? In the current world, injustice is the only explanation that's accepted, and every other explanation is ignored. But once you acknowledge that our brains are wired from experience, that our peak myelin is at age 2, and that children are born with no connections in their brains, and by the time you reach school at age 5, a huge amount of your wiring has already been done. So if you are spending your first 5 years in an environment that is either not enough stimulation or too much stimulation, then you're going to build circuits that are not good at focusing and learning, but rather are going to be either not developed or overprotective and not open to new inputs. So this is what we need to pay attention to, but nobody's talking about this. So thank you for listening to me. To learn more about your happy chemicals and help others find this valuable information, click the thumbs up and subscribe to the Inner Mammal Institute channel. To get a free 5-day happy chemical jumpstart guide, opt in at the Inner Mammal Institute website, innermammalinstitute.org. Thanks.